unfortunately, I gotta get my camera! Oh, we will also be sampling today some microgreens from my dad. He is a microgreen farmer. Quinoa always tastes like a mix between sad turkey and wheatgrass. I will put a pint of concentrated chicken jus, just like this, in my quinoa. We are going to be making a pork butt steak sandwich. It's gonna have a little bit of Thai inspiration behind it. Some small French loaves. My Swiss chard's a little bit sad looking. That's also because he's been sitting in the sun for the past 15 to 20 minutes. This is Latticino kale. We're gonna massage that with a version of nak cham that I'm gonna make while we're standing here. Nak cham is a Vietnamese dipping sauce. It literally translates to fish dipping sauce. It is fish sauce, vinegar, sugar, chili, garlic. You can add spring onion if you want. I'm a lover of spring onions. We're gonna add spring onions. English cucumber. Duke's, it's the only real mayonnaise there is. We also have the microgreens that I mentioned earlier. So I believe this one is micro basil. This one should be micro peas, and this one should be micro broccoli. We also have amaranth as well. All four of these are absolutely delicious. We have peach butter, another really good one. We're gonna be using that today in our nunchuck. These are carrot ribbons. I had him try these carrot pickles that I made last night. These are local rainbow carrots that have been pickled with mirin, orange blossom vinegar, rice wine vinegar, salt, sugar, shallots, chili flake, and garlic. That's it. Didn't do any herbs, just kept it nice and simple. I really wanted to show off the flavor of the carrot if it's accented, not overpowered. We also just have some basic ass cilantro, some Amish butter. I personally do not like going to the store and buying imported butter. We are gonna be drinking, I'm not even gonna pronounce that. This is Metamorphica. It is an orange wine. It is from Spain. Cayenne peppers, peanut M&Ms. This is my travel salt. And then travel garlic. We are going to be doing a very, very basic marinade. Sesame oil. Not a lot, literally the least amount you can get. This is 1/4 of a teaspoon. If you want to have a nice good flavor contrast, it's orange blossom vinegar just to make sure that it goes on to the meat. I would call it 1/4 cup. A little bit of salt, black pepper in there. Spoons are probably one of the biggest things in the kitchen that you should always have near or around you. Varying sizes, varying bowl shapes and depths. Each and every single spoon handles differently. I use 2 different types of spoons, stainless steel and solid silver. I love a fork as much as the next gal, but it doesn't really work as well for every single application. You can always use the side of a spoon to cut something, but you can never scoop a broth with a fork. All right, we're gonna take that peach butter and we're just gonna mix it right in there. It was probably 3 tablespoons worth of peach that I just mixed in. This is the peach butter. It had the same texture as an apple butter, and it does. It absolutely does. For that, I took 3 medium large peaches, pureed them in my blender, put them in a pot, and let it cook down. And then I added all those fun things that I told you about earlier. I had to glaze the bottom of my pot with apple cider vinegar. I added a touch, and when I say a touch, I mean it, like 3 or 4 flakes of chili, a little bit of cumin, and some salt. That is it. All of that natural sugar and pectin will do this for you. You do not need to add sugar unless A, your peach is underripe, or B, it's not sweet. If it's not sweet, it doesn't have enough sugar, it doesn't have enough pectin, it's not going to gel. We now must try this beautiful marinade. I know it looks very thin, and it's gonna get even thinner. There's also not a lot of it because we're just going for a light layer of flavor. Could definitely use some more peach. Trying to drop my spoon everywhere.
Only because the peach is so flavorful.
Oh yeah. And it's never a bad thing. We're going to be mixing it with this Duke's, this chili crunch, this orange blossom vinegar, olive oil, and sesame. We're also going to be putting either grapefruit or lemon. I haven't really decided yet which one.
We used to own the food court out at Redneck. I tried to get him to come out. He was
The salt that is used in kitchens is structurally different than the salt that is used in your everyday kitchen. The difference is there's more air in it. The crystal is larger, meaning it weighs less, meaning it is less salty overall, because to each flake there's actually less salt to it. At home, y'all are gonna use about half the salt that I use. It's so much bigger and so much more aerated structurally, the way it is composed. It looks ridiculous to you, but to me, I know that that pinch I just showed you, if we were in a kitchen, it wouldn't look like that. This pinch of salt, that was about 1.3 grams, I would say, overall. Please be aware of how big and how little your pinches are, because I know my little pinch is around 1.5 grams to 2 if I get a little bit more generous or I'm in a rush. If I'm doing a big pinch, I know it's about 4. Know your own hand measurements. Please know your tools, and your tools are your hands. Your hands are the best, most versatile tool you will have in the kitchen. If you don't have scissors, you can tear something. If you don't have a knife, you can tear or pull or separate with your hands. If you don't have a fork, you can mix with your hands. If you don't have a scale, you can weigh with your hands. If you don't know or don't have a thermometer for your meat, you can tactile. So, we've salt and peppered both sides of our steaks. We're gonna take that, we're just gonna get it nice and brushed in there. You don't want to overload it, but you do want to get enough just to coat the outside, because we are going to be brushing these down once more while they are grilling. Right now, all we're doing is seasoning the outside and allowing it to penetrate about, I would say, half an inch down into the meat. When we cook it, and all of those beautiful spaces in between the fat and the muscle open up, all this peach is gonna melt directly down in there because it's essentially just thickened sugar. And I love that these are bone in. This is my preferred cut for sandwiches, especially if I'm grilling, because the bone does lend it so much flavor, and it helps your meat stay in the same shape you put it on the grill. If you get a boneless cut and you do not score your fat cap, you're gonna get a weird curl, and it's gonna do this every time. You need to score the fat cap, because it's gonna tense, and all this skin on the outside, it's gonna contract. And when that skin contracts, all that fat that's nice and loose moves with it. So then you do this. And nobody likes that. We're gonna let this sit for 20 minutes. Basil, cilantro, a ton of mint. These are our broccoli micros. Absolutely gorgeous. Cajun is derived from French cooking. Cajun is not only a cross between French but also Arcadian, and Arcadian is a derivative of Arcadia, Canada, who were immigrants to that area of Louisiana when there were also direct French immigrants. So that's what led to the mixing, because by the time the Arcadians came down, they had already created the style of French cooking that they were taught. Food is the center of the universe. It is how we connect with each other. It is, well, I would say it's prototypically the American way, but it is historically the human way of connection. Nobody needs a conversation when there's food in front of you, because you all know what's gonna happen next. Basil. Microgreens are the smallest version of an herb or plant you can get, right? It is the seedling, the sprouted stage. Peas and amaranth. This is a pea shoot, amaranth. Some scallions. These are green onion bulbs, kids and germs. I can confit it at home. I can take off this beautiful, lovely little root system we have at the bottom, and I can blanch them off, and I can sear them, and I can serve them with a steak and a Bermonte sauce, or I can transplant them. We have Latticino kale and rainbow Swiss chard. A lot of people get kale wrong. It's very easy to get kale wrong, especially if you've never cooked for real or lived on Earth and had Google for more than 15 minutes. It is a distant cousin of the mustard. However, it is still a mustard, and all mustards produce a waxy coating on the outside to protect themselves from not only predation, but also the environment. Predation meaning any sort of action caused or done to said plant by a predator. See how waxy that looks, right? If I rub it, it'll come off, you know, like it looks gross though. It looks like a spider slept on this, honestly, it really does. So, that nice little waxy layer is natural, and it's produced by the plant itself. What we are going to do is we're gonna get rid of it. We are going to massage this with that nakcham I told you guys about earlier. And when we do that, what's gonna happen is it's gonna dissolve that nice, beautiful, waxy layer on the outside that keeps it protected, and it's gonna soften the very hardy leaves of it, and it's also going to wilt that interior vein that is super hard, that's super crunchy, that everyone hates. Like, look, it just bit my nail. Ow, that actually hurt a little bit. But what that nice massage of acid is going to do is it's going to break it down and it's going to tenderize it from the inside out for us. It's a physical and chemical tenderization of this product. Personally, I like knowing these things. I don't know if you guys do, but I like to think it aids me in being a better chef overall, because when I see ingredients that I'm unfamiliar with but have similar attributes to others that I've worked with, I can pretty much MacGyver my way through it, so long as I have that previous base of information. Stuff like this is part of that previous base of information. All of these tips and tricks and tidbits will help you be a better chef. All right, here we have rainbow Swiss chard. We've got red, we've got yellow. Just going in there, it's gonna look like super colorful celery to begin with. And then as we move up into the stem, from the stem into the leaf, I'm gonna go ahead and roll that together. And what I really want is a nice chiffonade on this. The stem part can be a bit chunkier, a bit thicker. It's gonna give it color, it's gonna give it texture. But for my leaf, what I really want is a chiffonade, because it's gonna get mixed in with that kale. Then I would like it to wilt together, because this chard is gonna be much sweeter, much more subtle. That kale is gonna be a lot stronger, a lot more bitter, a lot more front of the tongue forward. This chard should be more middle tongue. Orange blossom vin. Just a touch. I started working food and bev when I was 18. I was the hostess at Taboulih's. Taboulih's is a hookah bar, and I was the hostess. Then one day, I got a burger. Mom and my dad both took turns making dinner growing up, like I'm not a stranger to it. The chef, she made the citrus aioli, and I could not get over how good it was, and I spent almost a week at my house trying to figure out how to make it. And I couldn't. I absolutely could not. It does not look anywhere near as waxy, faded, pale, dusty, ashy, almost. Local pecans. Picked out of my mother's backyard. I have two favorite ways: salt, pepper, and butter, or orange nuts. And you make those with egg whites, sugar, orange juice, and orange zest. I'm doing cucumber. Alright, this is that cayenne. This is the hot spot on this grill. You can tell because all those beautiful bubbles are coming up at the bottom as soon as it contacted. This one, this is the second hottest spot on your grill. You can tell because there are bubbles, a lot of them, but they're smaller and they're not as frequent. This would be one of the colder spots on the grill. You can tell because there's very little bubble coming up, if none, as you see over here. That's fine. We don't need all of our steaks to cook at the exact same time. A lot of people try and make that happen. It's where most of your mistakes are gonna come out. You wanna stagger your steaks when on grill or on your flat top and you are handling meats, you want to stagger them. Unless you have three things on the exact same ticket that are the exact same temperature, and even then I would stagger them. It's not gonna behoove you to do so. You are only going to crowd your cooking surface. And it smells absolutely amazing. I know it looks like a greasy old flat top, and that's because it is. But greasy old flat tops will always cook you the best food. The oldest grill, the oldest flat top, the oldest cook. Make friends with them, learn it, live it, love it. It's gonna carry you well through life. And if you're a cook at home, do not fret about your stuff not looking brand new. Every single pan that I work with, every single sheet tray I work with, every single grill, every single eye I have ever worked on is caked and covered in grease. No chef wants you to know this. We scrub it down every single night, but that's a hallmark of a well-loved and well-used item. Do not be ashamed of using your shit, okay? Let's check these steaks. Now you can see that this Maillard hasn't finished yet, and that's okay. I'm gonna put it back down because it's still sticking on the bottom. You don't have to fully lift them off to tell. You can feel that they stick, but as you can see, we're getting some beautiful color under here right now. This guy, woo, he's lifting. As you can see, getting some beautiful color right now. we're gonna crank her. Crank her to 350. Now, I don't advise you to crank your heat if you are not super comfortable with cooking over high heats. I do it every single day at work. Typically, I work with oil that's around 350 to 500 degrees. All of my burners, all of my eyes, as I said earlier, like these, all of my eyes I will always have on full blast when I'm cooking, unless I'm making a carbonara sauce, because they scare the shit out of me. These are absolutely gorgeous, and you can see all of this myoglobin being released by the bone right here, all of that blood, all of this protein. It's not actually blood, these are proteins that come from inside of the bone marrow. So it may look like blood, but it's not always blood. You can see right here you can see it's already starting to pucker and pull. See how that's turning itself inwards and then out, and this edge is coming up as well. If we didn't have this bone in here to maintain the structure, the shape, and hold everything in place, it would be curling this way. Because all of that skin's gonna contract, like I said, and pull it together. See how she's already starting to turn white? That's what I was talking about right there. That's what we're looking for. This guy, little white on this edge still. Let's take a check. I believe our mired on one side is at least done. Nope, not done yet. That's fine. This guy is ready to flip. You can tell because he's starting to bubble. Right? And that bubble right there tells me that this meat isn't pressed flat on my flat top. So we're going to go ahead and flip him over. But you see how when we flipped him, there's nowhere near as much as the others. It's because we left this guy alone. We let him do his thing. And you can see what I was talking about when I said, oh, this is going to be the colder area on the grill. You can tell by the char pattern on the back of this meat right here, the top of this butt steak is much, much lighter than this is. And that has to do with the way that the gas circulates underneath the grill. Okay, your pilot light starts here and it works its way back around that way, essentially, right? Or you have a grill that does another thing. It goes this way, feeds through, and goes that way. Either way, this quarter is always going to be the coldest. Why, you ask? Well, I'm going to tell you. You see all this? I cooked it a little too high. We're going to cut her down. And you're going to say to me, Claudia, how do you know that's not blood? It's red. It looks like blood, right? Well, blood is produced inside of your bones, right? So all of these proteins are the building blocks that would eventually become blood. Sometimes it is actual blood, but most of the time it is not. This is the exact same thing you would see if I cooked this as a beautiful, beautiful chicken thigh, and it was 165 degrees, cooked all the way through. If I cut through my joint, that is exactly what it would look like. It does not matter. This is denser, it is thicker, it takes longer, higher temperatures to cook through. Ladies and germs, you see what a gem this man is. All right. So, in order to prevent scurvy, they started drinking tonic water with quinine in it. Like, it is ridiculous. It's got Szechuans in it, so it's got like that odd numbing flavor to it where it's almost sweet, but it's not, but it's a little bit sour. We did that. We're gonna do just a little bit of this orange blossom vinegar. Let's call that tablespoon and a half. We're gonna throw a touch of sesame oil in here. Literally 1, 2. You don't need a lot. Sesame will overpower everything given the opportunity. We love fish sauce. Fish sauce is delicious. 2, 3, oh. It's quite literally only anchovies, water, salt, and sugar. Whatever you call it. Alright. Now, when you roll your lemons and your limes, you're bursting all of these beautiful, teeny tiny little capillaries that are full of lemon and lime juice, and you are softening and weakening the interior walls of the cells that are on the inside. And nice. Oh, look at that, right? You see how juicy that is on the inside? It's because all of that, do you see how soft that is? That's because I put tears and cracks and crevices. This would be very hard had I not done that. Do you know how I know that? Because I bought them. Go ahead, right in there. Full lime. I always like to give my citrus a roll, so we're gonna add some more Dukes. I am so certain of it. We also have to add the peach to this as well. That's the fun little secret fact I almost forgot. I've always been very into Charleston produce because, in my opinion, you need to know about where you're from, where you live, just even in the most basic general sense, right? This is that same peach marinade we had from earlier that we brushed on. Salt, pepper, orange blossom vinegar, and a little bit of that rice wine blend. Go ahead and get that roll on there. Oh yeah. Delicious. All right, you got some more? All right, get her back in. All 3 down the line.
Yeah, that's smelling fantastic.
Right? We're gonna go ahead and cook it as in there as possible. I want it to be on there as long as possible. Oh, it I do. All right, we're pulling these for when we go ahead and do our breads. Oh my God, look at that. So this is gonna melt in really nice, and I don't know if you guys can tell, I know in there because of the shadowing and the fluorescence, it looked black, but this is a very, very nice deep brown char. We have our steaks cooked. We have our greenery beautifully wilting over here. This is our mix of Swiss chard and Latticino kale. As you can tell, like I told you guys earlier, all of that wax that you saw on that kale is gone because we added acid, which helped dissolve and soften it. Do you know why that is? I'll tell you why that is. I can't hear you asking. This is rubbed garlic bread, but I do have a small offset because I love myself. And when I say butter it up, I mean butter it up. I want a solid amount of butter on this because yes, there's gonna be a lot of juice, but it's not gonna be the kind of juice that you think you want. It's not gonna soak into that bread. Just rub your garlic all over it. If you're like me, I do this at the restaurant whenever they want it. I like to cut off an end, it exposes it, and all that allicin starts leaking out, and that is where you're gonna get like a lot of good garlic flavor from. Most people will just use the crushed side. I like to cut the end off of the crushed side. You're gonna go ahead, layer on the sauce, dude. Just get it in there. Oh yeah. You hear that crunchy? Oh. Delish, dude. All right, here's that salad we were talking about. We're gonna go ahead and add some spring onion in there. Gonna get some shallots, because shallots are fun. Also, you need a good oniony crunch. I know that that spring onion is gonna add in more of a nose profile, but that shallot being so dense, so sweet on your tongue, it's really gonna make all of that green onion pop. I love the color of the Swiss chard, but I also love the flavor of it. It's subtly sweet, very, very earthy. That's what we're going for today. Do grapefruit. Toss that. Get that in there. All right, we're gonna go ahead, throw some olive oil in there. Salt. We're gonna go ahead, about that much. I would call her 4 grams. All right. I'm gonna get a touch of the liquid from my carrots. Go ahead and mix that all about. Cilantro, basil, and mint. So we're just gonna go ahead and pick some mint leaves. These are not the best looking mint leaves, but they don't need to be. They're literally gonna get chiffonade and thrown in that salad. My friends, is what we're going here for today. So you see that I've been switching off knives this entire time. It's fully dependent on the project I'm doing. This is a petty knife. I also call it a utility knife. That's incorrect, but I use it for just about everything. I also have a 9-inch Wusthof. I've had for almost 8 years, and it's one of my favorite knives. This knife right here has gotten me through 4 or 5 different kitchens, and it cost me $15 at Walmart. This knife has been in 3 kitchens, and it cost me almost $400. It's not about the price of the knife, it's about what the knife can do for you. I just drew some lines in my avocado just with the tip of a knife. Go ahead, scoop. I like to press inward against the back of the skin. I press against my hand on the skin and then scoop down to ensure I get as much meat as possible. Get in the front, push against your finger. This finger is on the skin. Push against the finger on the skin, scoop all the way down and around. That's what my avocado skin looks like. We're about to have lime on that avocado, cukes, laying them just across like this. Again, I don't need anything crazy. I'm gonna go ahead and cut it off this bone. Oh my God, that's perfect. That's literally perfect. All right. And then this in here. I just like to score right there. And then you can go ahead and use your thumb to scoop and push back. Right there. It's a fat. And that's got some fat. But otherwise, that's a bone. The fibers of your meat go this way, right? You always want to cut against the grain, so that means I'm going to cut it like this, okay? Right? Grains are going this way. I cut it this way. Why, you ask? Because when you cut your grains like that, it creates a much shorter bite in the mouth, leading to a much more tender and flavorful bite overall. I always get nervous about overcooking pork.
No, it's
But
tender as can be.
Personally, I do like mine like this.
You can't hit all the other white meat stuff. It's all hell.
No, it does not. Pork should never be cooked dry. If it is, you do not like yourself or others. Just look at that beautiful piece of meat. Oh my God. And that, for me, that right there for me is perfect. Personally, I think I cook these a little hard, but that's me. I like them mooing. I like them oink oinking. We're gonna go ahead and start laying out this meat. I like to do my meats on the bottom. That's just me and my personal preference, but also I'm the one eating the sandwich, so that's what we're doing. I'm gonna do a couple of leaves of cilantro. Get some cilantro. And then we'll get some pickles. You'll get another flyby. And then I'm gonna cut into these hoes. And I have a big family, and so my family's always been food oriented, and it's always been, you know, well, this is how we get to know each other. This is how we catch up. This is how we celebrate. This is how we mourn, you know? So food's always been a huge part of my life. And it sounds silly to say because every person needs to eat, but food isn't always central in that. Sometimes nutrition is central in that. Sometimes just getting through the day is part of that meal. But for me, it was the actual act of making the meal that was the most important. All right, get you a flyby, sir.